Lauren. This is Stephen Odell, one of your hosts of Recovery Live, one of the owners of Stages of Recovery here in Lubbock, Texas. And today we have a very special show. We have a very special guest on. His name is Tommy Bellino, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his personal experience with recovery. He is a person in recovery. He's a student. He's an intern at Stages of Recovery. He's got so much going on, so many positive things that have been happening in his life, and we wanted him to come on the show today and share a little bit about what's going on with him and how he's gotten to the point where he's at today. Tommy, you want to introduce yourself?
No, thanks for having me, buddy. Tommy Bellino, you got it right. You know, remember you referred to me as Bellini one time, right?
Yeah,
Is that right? I know, but yeah, I'm doing good. Glad to be here. Glad to be taking a break from making binders at Stages of Recovery. Yeah, intern work, tedious stuff. But yeah, no, it's good. I enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Tommy, where are you from?
From Port Washington, New York, which is on the north shore of Long Island.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you end up in Lubbock, Texas?
Well, I was kind of struggling with addiction, obviously, which led me to the center at Texas Tech. But I had originally went to treatment out in Origins, South Padre Island, Texas. The name of the treatment center was called Origins Recovery Center. So I left New York on December 5th of 2012. For about 3 months I spent on the island, kind of like getting my stuff together, in treatment. And so I spent 3 months on South Padre, and then I moved to Austin, Texas, February. After I got in, so December, January, February, right? So February of 2013, spent about a year and a half in some sober living houses. I was discharged from one due to fraternization, but it's early recovery for you,
Flirting
right?
with the girls.
Flirting with the females, you know the deal.
Okay.
So yeah, did about a year and a half in Austin. Kind of had a grand old time with, they packed us into a house with like 20 other guys and kind of just clashed with all these people from different areas of the country. It was interesting. I mean, it was pretty tight and living in that house. It was a pretty small house with 20 guys, but you did meet a lot of cool people. There was somebody from Alaska, there was someone from Wyoming, like all over the country. So Lubbock, I actually heard about somebody moving to Lubbock to go back to school and get their degree. Someone by the name of Hunter. He was going to for pre-med or something. I was like, oh, that's cool. I've kind of been entertaining the idea of getting back into school and finishing my degree because when I was in New York, I went to community college. And I actually went to film school. I went to New York Film Academy. I wanted to be an actor at one point in my life. But
what happened to that?
I did too much cocaine.
No.
And,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did a little too many drugs. So I remember this one night I had to do this monologue. It was like a Shakespeare monologue, and I stayed up all night. I was just strung out the next morning. I didn't get any sleep. I showed up, and I think I fell asleep during my monologue in front of the whole class.
Maybe they just thought it was part of the show.
Yeah, maybe they thought I was improvising or trying to be, yeah.
So that was so you're in recovery.
Yeah, about 4 years now.
4 years? That's awesome.
4 years of continuous sobriety. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so tell us some of the sources and things like that you used to maintain 4 years of recovery.
Sources, okay.
Your journey.
How have you done this? So you were at an inpatient residential treatment, and for the listeners that have tuned in every week, they know what that is. Hopefully by now we've had a few residential treatment centers come on. Last week we were at Dovetree, which is our local treatment center here in town. So Tommy shared that he actually, what would that be? 5 years ago he began this journey. Okay, about in 2012 you'd say.
Yeah.
He went to an inpatient treatment center where he is locked down for either 30, 60, 90 days, depending on the program. I think Origins is 90.
Mm-hmm.
So you were there for...
Well, I did 2 months in the actual treatment center, and then 30 days prior to after leaving the actual treatment center in the sober living, which is you get a little more freedom. You're kind of not just in the compound.
They begin the transition back into working or being a student or whatever, into your career. They kind of ease you back into that lifestyle.
Yeah, you get a little volunteer job. Like me, I was working with sea turtles. I was feeding sea turtles on the island and stuff. So
Okay.
South Padre was beautiful. Even when we were in treatment for the 2 months, they took us on the beach. They took us out on the boat. We went fishing. We caught all these fish and we brought them back and cooked them.
Yeah.
It was actually probably one of the happiest moments of my life being in
That's
Origins
great.
Recovery Center.
I've heard wonderful things about Origins. I've met with a lot of their administrators and a lot of their marketing professionals. Excuse me, and we've worked a lot with Origins over the past 10 years at Stages of Recovery, and so I'm glad to hear that. Just another positive story of somebody
Absolutely.
coming out of Origins.
Yep.
It's a wonderful facility. Hopefully we can get them on the show one day on Recovery Live.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty cool. I can go visit South Padre.
Yeah.
It's not a bad
have a
time,
live
man.
show on the beach. That'd be pretty
I've been
awesome,
itching to get
right?
back there, man.
Yeah, no, you
I've-
should.
I've
Let
never
them know
been
that you're
there.
doing well, you know. So you did that. You ended up at a sober living in Austin, Texas. You said it was kind of good, kind of not. You met some cool people, which
Yeah.
is another point. I like the point you brought up. You meet people in recovery. A lot of people think there's a very certain demographic or age or race or economic status that ends up in recovery, and that is just so far
Yeah.
from the truth. It can affect anybody from anywhere in this country, and it is currently doing that. And Tommy brought up a good point that he met so many different people from so many different backgrounds and different states that were trying to do the same thing he was. So they were
Right.
trying to bring together a community of people to help build some type of foundation for one another. So that was your experience in Austin, Texas. You heard about the CRC program here at Texas Tech University, which is the largest collegiate recovery community in the nation, and it's the oldest one that's been around. It's right here in our hometown of Lubbock, Texas. You heard about that, and you wanted to come up here and get into school. Let's talk about that. How did that process look? Was it difficult? What kind of struggles did you face trying to get into school? Were you nervous? I mean, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I was a little nervous to go back to school because at this point, I was, I think I was about 27 years old at the time, and I was like, oh man, I'm going to be like a lot older than most of the people in my classes because I'll probably be starting fresh if I were to go back to school. So I mean, I definitely humbled myself a little bit, which isn't, it wasn't too hard of an experience at all going back into school. I met a lot of the center. I have to thank for that too, because I was a little nervous about being able to make friends and meeting people and kind of like having a bit of a social life because let's be honest, college is a time for people who are young and they want to go party and make friends, and I wasn't going to be partying obviously, but I wanted to have a network of people that I can kind of just be introduced to. And the center, the CRC, was really helpful with kind of just having that built-in support group of people. So I already came there. My first day, I'm meeting all these people who kind of went through the same things as me. They're like, oh, I'm from here, I'm from out of state, so I came here for recovery and to finish my degree. So I was like, oh, that's awesome, a lot of cool people. I guess another challenge would be figuring out what I wanted to study.
Yeah, that's a challenge, I think.
I think I still, even I'm going to graduate in December, and I'm still like, man, do I really want to be a social work? Because my major is social work, and I'm doing internship work or clinical work at your agency right now.
Yeah.
And I like it. It's a lot of fun. But I don't know.
Oh, you don't have to say that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just have always questioned what I wanted to do with my life. I mean,
and I think that's a normal thing to go through that process, even if you're just a young person in general, or if you're making a major career change later on in life. Those things come about. Whether you're in recovery or not, I think you're going to face that. You're going to face the identity crisis of who do I want to become, who do I see myself being, and what kind of career choice am I going to make. And I think the CRC program is so good at sitting somebody down who is having that process, is going through that process, and helping them work through it appropriately so that they actually do determine at least a pathway, right? It doesn't have to be so solidified, so concrete at first, but the fact that they can get people to be willing to open up and think about different avenues for their life and where they want to go. I think they're very, very good at doing that. So a lot of people think that you have to go to the center and eventually become a counselor. I'm an alumni of the center, and my degree is not in counseling, it's in financial planning and wealth management. That's the direction I took. And so you don't have to, a lot of people, I think it's great that a lot of people get sober and say, hey, I'm going to give back the same way somebody gave to me. I'm going to take this route. A lot of people do that. And when it comes to the industry, when you're dealing with counselors that are in recovery as well, the difference between someone being able to relate to their client is huge when the actual professional has been in recovery themselves. And so I get it, and I think it's a wonderful, we hire those types of individuals as well for our program, such as our intern Tommy here, right? He's a person in recovery that also wants to give back and said, I'm going to start studying this field a little bit more and trying to dive into it a little bit more. And so what do you see yourself doing? You said you graduate in December. That's coming up really quick. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And so what's your long-term plan? You said you're still somewhat dealing with the crisis of what am I going to do? What direction am I taking? So what are your thoughts on where you're going to go?
Well, I wouldn't really refer to it as a crisis, but I guess it's more of just questioning what I want to do. I've been looking into graduate schools up in back home in New York. So I've been looking into
what does that look like as a person in recovery?
Applying to grad school.
And like thinking about the next step and like, we know the tools that you've had here. So what does that look like?
I guess it's probably going to be a little more difficult.
Scary?
It's a little scary because I'm not necessarily going to have like that built-in community of people that I would have, that I have had at Texas Tech. But not to say that I can't, that I don't possess
Well, you built it here.
I built it here, and so who's to say I can't do it back in New York? Which I do have some people back in New York who I know that I was in when I was in recovery in New York. I attempted recovery once in New York, and I kind of slipped up. But so I guess that's one challenge that would kind of present itself to me, would be kind of building the same support group, which just out here in Lubbock, Texas, has been phenomenal.
And that's a good point, that this is not a short-term process, right? You don't just do this one time. You don't go to a certain area, do the geographic change, get enrolled into a recovery community, and then eventually leave that and stop that process. This is an ongoing, lifelong situation. When someone begins this journey, they have to continue to stay plugged in to so many different resources as far as, support groups or the family system as a whole, like making sure that your family is aware and involved in your process so they can help hold you accountable if you are going back home and you have family around there.
Is your family supportive of like your recovery? I mean, I know my parents, they just don't talk about it. I mean, but they're not supportive.
Well, right, I think I can relate to that. I mean, we address it occasionally, like about my recovery, but I think it's more something left unsaid. It's like, okay, I think my parents want to believe that, like, I had a problem and like I kind of dealt with it and it's in the past, but as people in recovery, we have been taught that it's something that we have to work at,
and we talk about it all the time.
Exactly.
If you can't tell, we have a whole radio show about it.
Yeah, that's right. Recovery Live, baby.
Recovery is serious, and I'm pointing my glasses right now to say how serious that is. The glasses are in my hand, and I'm pointing.
He's doing it, guys.
It's serious.
Yes, it is, and I can't thank you enough for sharing those things. You know what I mean? And I wish
I'm
you
sorry.
the best.
I'm kind of like getting down into the personal stuff. But you don't have to say that. You're more than welcome to decline on air.
No, it's great because there's family members that are listening that might not know how to approach the situation, and everybody approaches it differently. My parents are very similar as well. They do not speak of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I live in Lubbock because I work there and go to school, not because I came here to get clean.
Right. Exactly.
Where's your son at? Oh, he's up in Lubbock. What's he doing there? They're not going to say he's attending, 12-step
exactly.
meeting.
I can only imagine.
Going to school. I
can only imagine like the conversations that my parents have with like their friends about like, where I'm at these days, and like what I'm doing with myself. It's like, so how's Tommy? I have a brother and a sister too. But when I come up eventually, I can just assume like the conversation, like, oh, so where's Tommy? Like, oh, he's in Lubbock at Texas Tech University, like, doing the collegiate recovery community, like getting his degree in social work. Like, it's a bit non-traditional. So that's like an area of topic I wanted to, was the topic of non-tradition. Like, when I came to Tech, I was considered a non-traditional student because I was over the age of 25. And another area of non-tradition was the fact of being sober in college.
Yeah.
Which comes to a.
You don't think about that.
You don't
really
think about like
traditional.
It's not very traditional. I mean, you think about people going away to college, 18 years old, 19,
They're
whatever.
like, yes.
They're like, yes, I'm gonna have all this freedom. I'm gonna go all the parties I want. I'm gonna go crazy, and some people,
Which could be a beautiful thing. Like not everybody that does that ends up in the situation that us three may have ended up in.
Right,
So sometimes
right.
that's
It's
totally
not always
fine
a
for them
problem.
to.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, it's not a problem. That's part of the experience. I think you get a lot of growing experiences out of that. You meet a lot of people, and
new friends,
you join a
lifetime
fraternity,
friendships,
and you go to these crazy parties, and a lot of people are able to do that. But unfortunately, maintain good grades and get a job outside of when they finish. But I don't know, for people like us, I suppose it wasn't that simple.
Yeah, and that's what the show is about, right? Explaining what the resources are when that happens. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we hope that it does not, right?
Hold on, you guys. I'm sorry. Technical difficulties here. For some reason, the Fox News has decided to join us.
Hey, Fox.
News.
We're gonna go to a quick break, and we will be right back.
We'll be right back. Are we not live anymore?
No, we're not.
Okay.
Hold on.
They were just like, boom, you guys are done.
Yeah.
No, we'll go back on. They like changed some stuff. And
Don't worry, Facebook.
12:20.
We're still coming to you live with Tommy.
Since we're manual still. What's today? Friday.
Friends, are you taking Viagra for ED? Well, you could be paying too much. Now you can take sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, for just $2 per tablet. $2 for a 20 milligram tablet.
I don't know how to get it to go away.
Per dose. Marley Drug is a North Carolina pharmacy.
Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get you.
Oh, yeah, you're good. And I mean, like, if we, there's fine. Like, if we have to end, it's fine. I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm still gonna get you.
I went ahead and just posted what we had. That's
Yeah.
weird, man. That's never happened.
Yeah.
1760.
Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties happening. Tommy's a person in recovery. He's cool.
I'm pretty cool, I guess. You posted it, you said?
Well, yeah, the Facebook Live one. I just went ahead and ended it there. I mean, it's, you know.
Oh, it's Facebook Live. So we're not gonna be able to like view that again, or you can?
View it again? Oh, yeah. So while it's live, it's also recording.
Oh.
Oh, and now it went dead. This is crazy. I didn't make this up, I promise. I guess we should go live and finish our show real quick.
Yeah, go
but
ahead.
okay. But
This was it.
okay. Sorry about that, guys. We are back.
Thank you.
Live
We
radio.
are back with
Yes.
Recovery Live, guys. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thanks, Jim.
Once again, this is Stephen Odell with Stage of Recovery. This is Recovery Live every Friday at noon. We have a very special guest on. Obviously, y'all that were listening, this is Tommy Bellino, and he's sharing his experience with us on how he began his journey in recovery, what he's been doing currently to maintain his health, his self-care, what he does to maintain his sobriety, and some of his future goals that he has. And we were talking about the family situation and the social stigma attached to the people that are in recovery, especially if you're going back to college. It can be very difficult to feel as if you fit in, right? Because everybody else has their own agenda, but society tells you go to college and you get a little bit crazy, okay? And so when you're a non-traditional student like myself and Tommy was or is, we both are still students, it's a little bit different because not only are we older than the majority of the people that are attending school, we're also in recovery. So there's several different layers that come about when you start trying to fit in, I guess. And so speak a little bit more about how you've been able to deal with that, and what are some ways that you overcome those I don't know, those issues. Not an issue, but just that situation. How do you overcome that situation?
Yeah, well, it was. It started out kind of like I wanted to like get a little bit of the nightlife feel of the college experience here in Lubbock, Texas. So I would go out sometimes with other people in recovery, friends of mine who have graduated now. But we would go out and we would like drink cranberry juice at the bar and like try and fit in and stuff, and like talk to girls. We'd be like, dude, I gotta get like my cranberry juice in this glass so it looks like I'm drinking alcohol. You know what I mean? Like really kind of trying to fit the part. It was questionable if you really ask.
You're trying to explore how do I do normal things now?
Yeah, I was
I'm
like, how do I kind of be a normal guy?
People think are normal.
Yeah, so I would like talk to people and girls at the bar and whatnot, and I would tell them that like I was part of like the recovery community on campus, and they were like all interested and like intrigued by that. They're like, wait, like you're sober in college? Like what? Like they were kind of like taken back by that a little bit. But there were also some people who were like, oh yeah, like I know the CRC on campus is a great program. Like they do a lot of great things for people, and then it would be a pretty good experience. But,
yeah, some people react well, some people don't. Some people they can't wrap their head around that, which is which upsets me and upsets my business partners, which is why we created this show in the first place. Because some people can't wrap their heads around that. Some people do not drink
right
just because they don't want to. That's it. There's nothing like, sometimes there's not some catastrophic situation, prison sentence attached to someone that wants to change their life. Sometimes there is that. Sometimes that happens, okay? But that's not always the case. And that's why it can be so frustrating trying to be a person in recovery, because the way that society views you and your situation. There's so much people that are uneducated when it comes to this process, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to break through on some things, and we want the public to know that there is a lot of people in recovery, and we're doing what we can to improve our lives, just the same that people are trying to do that are not in recovery. We're trying to be better than we were yesterday.
I think the 12 steps could apply to anyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
even someone who didn't have a history.
What do they tell you to do? They tell you to get honest. They tell you to apologize when you're wrong. Try to do things to make up for your mistakes. They teach you to follow in something that's greater than yourself. Right? I mean,
live
exactly,
life
yeah.
on life terms. Life terms.
Yeah,
Oh, we got
amazing.
a caller, you guys.
Absolutely. Let's see who's on the line.
All right, are you there? Hi, how are you doing today? And who do we have on the line here? And who are we speaking with?
Ma'am, I cannot thank you enough for saying what you just did, and I just want you to know that we're here for our community. Stages of Recovery cares about those that are suffering, and we will do whatever we can to help them and their families.
My grandfather was born 1975. And so I've been here getting to know all of our alcoholism without this giving in to us. This is just for one thing. And now I take up our therapy, and the friendship better than back when you got there on the root fly and person bad things and bad nothing.
Yep. Sure. Yes, ma'am.
But I can remember, just as I think of it now, that I've had a finger pulled out home. I can remember thinking, that was so good. I said, that's like, we had this cancer. And I was young.
Uh-huh.
I got that pepper pulled in my mouth, and it was nasty because it was old. It could not be cooked. I have blood in my nerves.
Oh my goodness.
He said the word alcohol, I thought I kept wrong. That's how I was thinking, no things to do. But yes, study the fact we're the different of young people and people saying,
Yeah.
good numbers, whatever. Each time that I was young before, I could have listened to them, I was like, they can't have whatever it was, last week ago, pandemic. But when I was young, I think the Lord, I said that to one of my life, and I said, oh, I'm just thinking about it.
Okay.
That's pretty impressive.
Ma'am, that's
Yeah,
beautiful,
that's
and I
amazing.
can't thank you enough for sharing that, and that's very important for the other listeners to hear, that you can make that choice on your own, just because it's not, you don't have to have those types of things to have fun. Society tells you you do because they want to sell you things, and that's my opinion. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. very powerful. Yeah, it can be very powerful.
Yeah, it's very surprising.
Yeah,
I know.
It's very powerful what people go through.
No, you're fine.
Ma'am, thank you so
Thank
much
you very much.
for calling in, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and you stay strong, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
very
that.
much. God bless.
All right.
Thanks. Have a
Bye-bye.
good weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you
That
have
was a
it,
nice
guys.
little treat.
That
Wow.
was a nice little treat. Well,
She seems so sweet. Wow.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, it is time for us to wrap up. You want to tell the listeners the Stages of Recovery number?
Yes, absolutely. Call us anytime you want. Feel free. It's 806-412-4721. Ask for Stephen Odell with Stages of Recovery. Thank you for tuning in to Recovery Live every Friday at noon at 5:80 a.m.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Don't
Y'all
forget
have
to
a
keep
good
your
weekend.
guns up.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.